Are you looking for ways to get more cruciferous vegetables in your diet and at the same time have something rich and creamy? I'm Hannah Mason, and in this episode of You Don't Know Beans, we're going to be discussing the oh-so-funny-looking Kol Rabi. So this is Kol Rabi. For those of you who aren't familiar, I'll bring it up a little bit closer. Kol Rabi usually comes in one of two colors. This is the purple version, or there's like a greenish, palish, whitish version. And Kol Rabi is in the cruciferous family, otherwise known as brassica. And cruciferous vegetables are cabbage, kale, collard greens, broccoli, cauliflower. Am I forgetting something? Oh, and cabbage. Did I mention cabbage already? In any case, so these vegetables have certain sulfur compounds that are really, really good for our bodies and enhancing our immune system. So, one more thing. This is what I forgot. Mustard green and mustard seeds, and even like the mustard that you take out of the jar also counts. So, the way it works basically is that all plants, as you probably know from elementary school, have roots, leaves, and flowers. And the way it works in this family is that this is the root of the broccoli plant. And you can imagine that if you're a farmer and you plant a broccoli seed and out comes a broccoli plant, and it turns out you actually really like the stalky, rooty part, then you might want to pick, of all of the broccoli plants you planted, you might want to pick the one that has a really hardy stalk or a really hardy root. And if you keep doing that year after year, eventually you're going to get a really fat root and maybe not so many leaves and very few flowers, because that's what you're looking for. But if you really like the leaves and you want lots of green leaves, so then you're going to keep breeding the seeds that come from the plant that have great leaves. And that's how you end up with collard greens. But if you really like the flowers, you like that they're soft and chewy and tender and sweet, so you're going to keep breeding the plant that gives more and more flowers. And if you do that generation after generation, eventually you're going to end up with these huge flowers. And that's what broccoli is. Not everybody knows that broccoli is flowers. That's why they're called florets. If you ever grow broccoli, you can actually see each of those little tiny heads. They open up into these beautiful yellow flowers that look exactly like the wild yellow flowers we see in many parts of the world, growing everywhere, as mustard, as wild mustard that at the bottom has these leaves, mustard greens. So that's basically how it works. This is the root of the broccoli plant. And if you've ever cooked broccoli, the stalks of broccoli, you know that on the outside it's pretty tough, which is also true for Kol Rabi, but on the inside it's really tender and creamy. So the way we prepare Kol Rabi is by peeling it. Usually people have a difficult time with the outside part because it's really tough and chewy. Peeling it, and you can cut it up and make it as a salad. The inside flesh is pretty pale and white, both in the purple Kol Rabi and in the greenish, palish, beigeish Kol Rabi. So you can see here's a piece that had ripped off of one of these stalks for the leaves, and you can see that it's totally white on the inside. And you can also see here there's leaves, but you see they're pretty small. It's kind of dorky looking. Okay. And one of the things that you can do with Kol Rabi, you can cut it and have it fresh in a salad, but you can also cook it. You could actually cook it just like this. You could put it in a pressure cooker, or you could put it in a pot just the way it is, absolutely whole. You don't even have to wash it. And once it's fully cooked, how do you know? You put a knife through it, and if it just goes clean through, very soft and tender, you can do that with any root vegetable, potatoes, sweet potatoes. If you want to know if they're done, you just put the knife right through, and if it goes easily, then you know it's done. You let it cool off a bit so you don't burn your hands, and then the skin will just peel right off for you. This is actually also how you cook beets. The skin just peels off. It's so nice, so much less work than having to peel everything by hand. And what you can do with Kol Rabi is use it to make a really creamy soup. So you can add it to any soup you want in cubes, and you'll end up with a creamier soup, or you can make a Kol Rabi soup, although I think that's kind of a lot of Kol Rabi. That might make you a little bit gassy, so I wouldn't highly recommend that. So one of the really cool things about plants that are really hardy and grow great in the winter is that because they have to survive under really difficult, cold, harsh weather, they actually produce all sorts of compounds that fight away bugs. And those compounds that fight away all of the bugs that might come and eat the plant, or animals that might come and eat the plant, or fungus or viruses or anything you can imagine, those same compounds, when you ingest them, they also help your immune system fight all of those bugs. These vegetables are also chock full of vitamin C and a secret ingredient you might not have thought of: insane amounts of protein. People are always worried about getting enough protein on a plant-based diet, despite the fact that protein deficiency is pretty much impossible to find. But if you really want to get extra protein because you're bodybuilding and you're growing, for example, like a teenager like my son, so getting a little bit of extra protein in your diet might be a good idea, and you can get that with legumes, but also with leafy greens and cruciferous vegetables chock full of protein. So hopefully you've learned a little bit more about kohlrabi, and if you haven't checked it out and experimented with it yet, highly recommend you do. Now, if you are looking to up your health game and want to live a healthier life, perhaps take on a plant-based diet, perhaps fight heart disease or diabetes or Alzheimer's or cancer, and you're looking for ways to use lifestyle and food to change your health outcomes, I'm a vitality coach. It's what I do. I help people up their vitality, both mentally and physically and spiritually. Get in touch with me. You can go to my website, hannahmason.com, and sign up for a free discovery session where we can figure out how we can help you achieve the life of your dreams. In the meantime, wishing you many little joys.
Want to find out what's blocking your vitality? Quickly take the quiz at hannahmason.com/health quiz.